Welcome back, everybody. Today's Tackle Tip Tuesday is all about the top 10 crappie lures I use for open water. Alright, welcome back, everybody. Like I said, today is all about those crappie lures. I've been wanting to do something on the crappie all spring, and I just kept spacing it. And, well, I mean, obviously, if you guys are new here, you know I've been doing these Tackle Tip Tuesdays for a while now. If you are new here, what are you doing? I do this almost every Tuesday. Well, I do. I have done it every Tuesday, now that I think about it. So if you're new here, remember to subscribe, because I'm going to be trying to do this all summer, well, all open water long. And I might even go into the ice fishing world. You guys that have been around for a while know I ice fish like crazy. But I digress. Today's is going to be all about crappie stuff, and I mean, you can use it. I'm going to say all the lures that I'm going to list today, you can use from the minute the ice goes out to the minute the ice comes in. So all open water season long, you can use these lures. Alright guys, so like I said, this is all about those crappie lures. I'm going to basically try and go over my favorite lures. Obviously there's going to be a ton more, and I'm sure you guys use a bunch of them yourself. If you're seeing this and you guys have a favorite crappie lure, I want you to list it in the comments below, because I want to know what else there is out there. I mean, I've used a lot of lures, but obviously I haven't used them all. And if it's your favorite, list it below, and then list how you kind of fish it. I mean, the whole reason I do these Tackle Tip Tuesdays is basically so we can all learn from each other and, you know, figure out how to break this down. So if you have a favorite one, list it below. And yeah, I'm gonna get right into it. Okay, so first things first, we'll go over the one that I did, I believe, a Tackle Tip Tuesday just on this lure this spring alone. Obviously, you guys can go through my Tackle Tip Tuesdays and see if it's specifically in there. But this is the Crappie Scrub from Kalen's. Probably one of my biggest go-to baits there is. It's got these two little frog kicker tails. I have it on just like a 1/64 ounce jig right now, that you can go heavier or lighter. Let's go into detail on this guy. Okay, so like I was saying, I wanted to go into a little bit of detail on this guy. Obviously, it's a pretty simple concept. It's like a grub body. It's got two little frog kicker tails. They actually make like a, I think Kalen's makes like a frog, which is like that big. I still haven't tried it, but I should try it for some, I bet you it works really good for bass and like lily pads and stuff like that. I just got to get around to it. Like I said at the beginning of this video, if you guys have a favorite lure, list it below for crappie. But like I was just emphasizing on, Kalen makes that one for frog. It's like a frog for bass. I digress. I got to try all sorts of new lures. I want to see what you guys got. But this guy right here, if you guys are fishing and it's a difficult time finding crappie, tie one of these guys on, throw a little jig in it. I will list everything that I have. If I can find it online, I will list it below so you guys can order your own and do your own thing. That way we can really, I mean, that 100% will learn from each other, because then you guys can use what I'm using and I can order what you guys are using. So that is the Crappie Scrub. Kalen's makes it, I believe. Yeah, so let's go to the next one. Okay, so I'm going to kind of go down the list of these guys from like most subtle. I probably should have started with this guy right here, actually. Hopefully you guys can see that. Hopefully it's not too blown out. That is the JB Lures rabbit hair jig. It's one of my favorite little things to throw. You can cast them. Obviously this is like the lightest one you can see next to my fingernail. If I can't list it below, you can just go to JB Lures website, or I might just put JB Lures site below, so you guys can go check them out. But they make a bunch of different stuff that I like to use, and this guy right here caught me a bunch of crappie this spring and last spring. So if you're looking for just a subtle bait, you don't have to tip it with a live bait, but I noticed this one works really good if you put like a wax worm on it. So like when the water's really cold still in the spring or in the fall. But usually in the fall, they're putting their feed bag on, so you can get away with a little bit bigger bait. But the rabbit hair jig, is a real simple thing to just always have in your tackle box. Okay, so as you saw, I mentioned the littler ones, and I'm trying to kind of go from what you would call the most finesse presentation to like the most aggressive presentation. I have a whole slew of things for the wintertime for that, because that's kind of how I fish. But I'm kind of hoping you guys can go down the list. So like if you have all of these lures yourself, or if you if you pick them up, you can start with these. So this is just a bag full of jigs, but these are like those, like the one I have here in the Crappie Scrub. But this is just something I think every crappie fisherman should have, is a light jig. Now, light is relative. You can use like a 1/64 or like a 1/8 ounce all the way to a 1/64, or like I've used 1/82 and 1/100th or something like that, tiny little jigs. For whatever reason, crappie really like it when things fall super slow. So having a bag of these on hand should be number one, actually, because you can put a minnow on here, you can put the Kalin's plastic on here, you can put wax worms on here. It all just depends. But okay, so I kind of bypassed why you want to use these ones. These specifically, I don't know if you can, let's see if we can get it to focus. Back there. So you can kind of see on that guy. So it's a mess if I dump them all out, but these are sickle hook jigs. I'll have these listed below. Obviously pick the size that you want for the bait you want to use it on, or if you're just using it for minnows, like I said, you can go 1/8 ounce all the way down to like 1/100th. 1/32 to like 1/64 tends to be my go-to range. It just depends on how hard they're feeding. So like I said, these are kind of like your super finesse presentation. All right, so all you guys that, if you go crappie fishing and you've never used one of these before, I don't know what you're thinking. It's a crappie tube, real simple. I forget who makes this one. I have them listed somewhere, so I'm sure I can find them for you guys. But it's just a simple tube. It's got some good feelers on it. Simple, tube you put on a jig or on a hook. You can use them under a slip bobber. You can cast them. I've found that these work really good casting and slip bobbers, but if you're going to use it on a slip bobber, you have to use it on like a wavy day, something that's going to impart action on it. It can't just sit there and they'll eat it. Sometimes they will, but usually it's because it's on the fall and they eat things, like I said, that fall slowly. So a crappie tube is a must. This just happens to be one color I use, but red and white, pink, like glittery, I don't know how you would say that. Somebody put that in the comments below. How do you spell something that's full of glitter? Anyways, a clear glitter one. But yeah, next. Okay, so let's go down the list of even more finesse stuff. So far, what I've shown you is basically stuff that you could fish underneath a slip bobber. You could cast that on really ultralight line. It'd be really hard to fish it on like heavy line unless you're using like a slip bobber or something that's got weight, like, you have a weight to toss it on. So like 6 pounds and less line. I prefer 4-pound test if I'm crappie fishing, just because I'm so used to throwing such a light presentation. But this guy right here is like next to the tube. So like this guy and this guy should be in everyone's tackle box. I don't know why you wouldn't have it in there. And a lot of people talk down on these. I know a lot of guys that are like expert fishermen. They're like, oh, you throw twister tails, you must be new, blah, blah, blah. You couldn't use this or that or another thing, whatever. Let them talk the crap they want to talk. You catch fish on these. It's real simple. This is a Mr. Twister, so I'll link these below. You can get them in a million different color combinations, and they are worth having in your boat or tackle box, whatever you want to put them in. Okay, so that's all the really finesse presentation stuff. Out of all 10 of these things, I'm going to say the Kalin's and this guy right here are probably my go-to search baits. This one's still got a couple weeds on it. I'm going to throw those away. Obviously it gets used, but this is another JB Lures. Like I said, I'll just link their page below for you guys. They have a lot of stuff, and this is their Tadpole Spin, and I believe it's a 1/16 ounce. It's tiny. That it's a hammered blade is what they call it, but it, you know, it comes pre-rigged like this, so you just tie it on and go. I like to run this with a snap. That's my snap I put on there, and then what I'll do is I'll tie that with like a 2.5 foot leader with an inline swivel, so that if this gets hooked on some weeds and starts spinning or whatever, you don't get a bunch of knots or your line all twisted up. But this guy is great for, I would say, 8, maybe 9 feet, with it being as light as it is. Well, 10 feet, whatever. 10 feet and shallower. If you're trying to fish any weeds that are deeper than that, like say they start at 10 feet, this is probably not the fish or the finder you want to use to cast around and look for them. But yeah, that's the JB Lures Tadpole Spin if you guys are looking for it. And I think they have 3 different sizes of them. You'll have to check them out. I'll link them below. But that's a really good one for searching. So we're into the more aggressive ones now, because this is like, if you're going out looking for fish on a new body of water, it's hard to beat something that runs slow, but you can run it deep, shallow, or really shallow. Like, you can buzz this in and, you know, run it right below the surface of the water. So let's go on to the next one. All right, so like I was saying, the more aggressive lures are what I'm onto now. This is something that I use for a lot of different fish, and I actually just did a video. What was it? I don't know if that was Tackle Tip Tuesday. Yeah, no, it was. It was a Tackle Tip Tuesday. So it's in my Tackle Tip Tuesday for just this lure. So I have a Tackle Tip Tuesday only on the Slender Spoon. If you want a good in-depth on like how to use it, I actually took it out in the boat and showed you guys how to throw this thing specifically. But this is kind of like another search lure. This is like a 1/16 ounce or lighter, might even be a 32nd ounce. It's a pretty light Slender Spoon. I have a bunch of different colors of this. This green or chartreuse works really good. You put stuff on it, you can run it naked, but it's got a bunch of different uses. So the Slender Spoon, I think this is custom Jigs and Spins. Don't quote me on that. I don't know who makes this specific one. I think there's actually a couple companies that make these, but it's got this S bend to it with that little lip up there. This one specifically does exactly what I want it to. And like I said, if you go back through my videos and you go through my Tackle Tip Tuesday playlist, I have a playlist for every species and every lure that I make a Tackle Tip Tuesday for. So if you guys go through, just click on my playlist, you can find that, and it'll be real easy for you guys to look into this one specifically. So custom Jigs and Spins, Slender Spoon. That's one, I think everybody should have this. It's an actually ice fishing jig, so it's one of those things where you can use it all season long. So this is one of those good lures that you can convince people that you need to buy because it works all year. Okay, so we went through all the finesse stuff, and I gave you 2 decent search baits. Those are ones that I like to use when I'm like mid-column stuff like that. Like I said, they don't necessarily go too deep. I forgot to do first. This is one of those like early and late season. This is a Matsu Min. I forgot which. I have them saved in my thing, so I can definitely find these for you guys. But you can see how long it is. It's only like I think it's 1.5 inches long. It might even be just 2 inches even. But it's a really small minnow. And I run this on like 4-pound or 6-pound test with that same setup with a snap and then inline swivel about 1.5 feet up, 2 feet up the line. But this is a great casting lure for something. Basically, I can fish this from, it's only meant to run like 3 or 4 feet deep, but you can get crappie to hit it. I think I've done pretty well all the way out to about 6 feet of water. So if the crappie are in 6 feet of water, this is a great little minnow. It's a tiny little jerk bait, basically. So you can do twitches and like reels, and there's a bunch of different ways to fish it. Once you get it, you'll see what I mean by like how useful it is and the practicality of having yourself a couple Matsu minnows. So get these guys, they come in handy. Plus you catch everything on them. Okay, so this is going to be one of those things that everybody's going to be a little confused about because of like everything else is pretty light duty. This guy is a deep diving crappie crank, and it's a Crappie Max X, and I used to use these all the time, like everywhere I went. Well, okay, let's rewind. I use this whenever I'm fishing a deep weed line. So like I was saying with those other ones, if you fish anything that's like, we'll say 8 feet to like 15 to 20 feet. I believe the max running depth on this is 8 to 10 feet. But if you have fish suspending in 20 feet of water and they're like 15 feet down, this running at 10 feet down will actually catch you those fish 5 feet below them, because they'll come up for this. It's got a rattle. This happens to be my favorite color. It just works. I mean, it's hard to beat pink and crappie. I don't know why they like it, but that's what they eat. So this is the last one I have. I've been bit off a bunch of times by Northern. I just never restocked, but I'm definitely going to get some more of these things because it's been a real hot summer, and they're going to stay deep way into the fall this year. So probably a good idea to pick up a couple of these. I'll list them below if I can find them. Okay, so you guys are all going to laugh at me because this isn't a lure, but it's one of those things that every crappie fisherman should have. If you don't have it, slap yourself in the face and go to your local bait shop and get like 5 dozen of these things. 1 second. These are slip bobbers. These are fixed bobbers. These are for my weights. For my slip bobbers, these are slip bobber knots. These are slip bobber beads. This is a bobber box. Please, for the love of God, anybody that goes fishing for crappie, make yourself a bobber box. Obviously, you can see all the different kinds, sizes, weights, differences. Some are open water, night bobbers, big, little, small, medium, large, whatever. This guy right here will catch you more crappie if you put this together with this guy right here. Slip bobber, jig, sickle hook jig. I'm telling you this as a secret that nobody wants to talk about. Specifically, sickle hook jigs and slip bobbers go hand in hand. I'm going to tell you right now, that's probably going to be your best combination you ever put together, and it's simple. You can adjust your depth. You can fish them in 20 feet of water. You can fish them in 5 feet of water. That's another Tackle Tip Tuesday video I actually have is 100% nothing but talking about slip bobbers and how to use them. This box was probably the first one that I know a lot of people say they don't have a lot of money for things, and I don't have a ton of money myself. It's one of those things where every time I went into a bait shop, I just knew that they worked. I knew it was a good idea to have them. And if I seen a sale, or if I was just, say I was buying worms or something like that, or if I was buying minnows, or if I was going crappie fishing, the first thing I did in the bait shop is walk my butt over there, pick up 1 or 2 bobbers, which is like $2 to $4 or something like that, threw them in with the minnows, threw them in with the worms, threw them in with the jig that I was buying, and now I have a box full of everything I could possibly need, because every time you spend, what, $3 on a thing of worms or $3 on a thing of minnows, another $1 to $4, you know, now it's $5 to $10 you spent. If that's all you spent every time, eventually you will have a box like that, and that box, regardless of where you go fishing, is, well, freshwater fishing, regardless of where you end up, you'll be able to use it. So make sure you guys get yourself a slip bobber box and put that thing together. Alright guys, so like I was saying, put that slip bobber box together, get all those baits down. They'll be linked in the description. Obviously, if you guys have any good ideas for baits that you use that I haven't listed below, or maybe you have ideas or ways of fishing those that other people can help or learn from, please put those in the comments below. I want these Tackle Tip Tuesday threads to basically be a good place for people to go look online and find out how to fish for the specific species or use a specific lure that they're trying to use. So thank you guys all for watching today's Tackle Tip Tuesday. Obviously, if you're not new here, you know what's up. But if you are new here, please just remember to